In this Closerscopy tutorial, I'm going to show you how I created this article with an SEO score like that using only AI. Now, everything that I talk about today will be linked in the description below, including the timestamps and also the offers to Closerscopy. So with that said, let me show you exactly how I did it. Several ways in which you can create a blog post within Closerscopy. The tools I'm going to be using today are the long form editor and the SEO tool, and that's basically it. Now, the SEO tool is going to give us some important data before we build the article out, and obviously afterwards as well. And the long form editor also has quite a few tools that we can utilize to build our posts out. So without any further ado, I'm just going to get straight on with this and then kind of talk you through as I'm going along. So the first thing I'm going to do, and I've chosen my topic, okay, and that's really all you're going to do first. And I chose this topic because I want to show you how, or rather, I want to show you that Closerscopy can create niche specific articles as well as the more generic articles. So I'm going to be, using this example that I've got a niche specific website all about cavapoos. Now, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go and get an SEO brief, okay? So we're going to do a search. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to choose number 1, number 10, number 5, and then a couple in between them. That's just going to give me like a really good overview of all of the different posts that are ranking. So the information that it's given me here, okay, is I've basically done an audit on this, and the information that I've got here is really telling me before I actually start building the post out that how many words I'm going to need to go for, how many headings I need, how many paragraphs I'm going to need, and also some of the main important words that I need to incorporate within my blog post to basically make sure that I'm going to be SEO friendly or SEO compliant. Okay. So rather than building the blog post first and then going back in and adding these, I like to sort of try and get some idea first. So when I'm building it out, obviously, I know that I'm going to need around about anywhere between 19 to 23 headings. So we go back to the long form editor. Now, the first thing we're going to need to do before we can run this is put a brief in. Now, basically, a brief is telling the AI what it is that we're writing about, i.e., what the topic is and what kind of information we want it to give us. Now, you can do one of two things. You can either write your own brief or you can create like a bit of a heading. It doesn't necessarily have to be an exact headline like how to do something. It's just a generalized heading. So this is really going to be your topic. So my topic is, what is a cavapoo dog? So we're going to take that and I'm going to go into the brief tool. Now, what you'll notice is that it's running here now, which is obviously, that's something that takes time. And I just wanted to point that out because from basically this point forward, what I'm going to do is every time I run the software to give me some results, I'm going to pause the video, obviously to save time on editing and obviously save time in the video itself. So basically what it's done, it's given us some of the results here. Now, what these are they're just basically the briefs. So cavapoo dogs are adorable, highly intelligent and very loyal. They're one of the most popular breeds in the world and are known for their unique temperament. Quite like this one. This article provides information about the different breeds of dogs that are commonly referred to as cavapoos, including the history, physical characteristics, and health issues. I like that one, so we're going to take that and we put that in the brief. So basically what that does now, that just gives the AI some information to work with. I'm going to build a headline now. So once you've got basic topic in place and your brief, you click on headline and we'll build out the headline first. Okay, so it's basically given us a couple of results. Now, what I've done is I've run the software twice just to kind of show you what you can do. So the first results that it gave me are down here, and they'll be highlighted in white. And if you run it again, they'll be in green. So like the green ones are always like your top choices that it's already done. So these are like the newest choices. And a few of these down here, I didn't really like too much. So I ran the software again and it gave me these. Now, these are a little bit more on point of what I want to write about. Because if we look at our brief, we're talking about characteristics, health, behavior, etc. Cat food. I actually like this one here. So we're going to add that. I'll get rid of the post headline. And we'll just do a bit of formatting. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep this main brief for the moment there. But I'm going to turn this into the headline. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of all this information here. So each time I want to tell the AI to write some more content, I'm going to get rid of this information so it doesn't sort of sway what it writes. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to create an outline first, then I'm going to do the introduction. Okay, so it's given us some results back. I quite like this one. So I'm going to add that to the document for now. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to clear those. And I'm going to create the outline. The reason why I did that really first is just kind of give a little bit more information on the page. So, but hopefully when we create the outline, the AI is going to read all the information that we've got now. What it tends to do is it'll read the brief first. If you've got anything in these boxes, and I'll show you some more boxes a bit later on, but if you've got anything in this box here, it reads that first and then it reads what's on the page. Okay, so anything you've got in here, so if you want any specific information, dates, times, histories, whatever it is, if you incorporate that in here, the AI should actually give you some of the information back. But I'm going to click on outline. I just realised as I run the software that I've made a bit of a mistake, and I clicked outline, and I really wanted to click introduction. So what I basically done, I've just run the software again, and all I'm really doing is I'm highlighting this every time, and I clicked introduction, okay, because it gave me the content, and it was basically like the outline and content. So this is the information that it's given me. Now, this is quite specific, so we'd have to we do fact checking on that if we was going to use this one. Well, I quite like this one then because this kind of, if we look at the headline, easy to train, intelligent, etc. And this is also saying it's basically intelligent, loyal, extremely intelligent, easy to train. And that kind of fits what we're talking about. So I'm going to add that. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just go through and do a little bit of formatting now. I'm going to get rid of some of these numbers. We just basically format these up and then make these into H2s. So basically all I've done, I've just gone through and, obviously just formatted these and you highlight them and you get like this box up here. So H1, H2, H3, etc. So it's a relatively simple dashboard to be using. So what we now need to do is we now need to fleshing out this content. Now, what will happen is because there's not a great deal of information in each of these H2s, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to give the AI a little bit more information to work with. Okay. So if we just say history of the Cavapoo or history of Cavapoo, it's probably not going to give us much information. So I'm going to probably have to try and help it a little bit and prompt it a little bit. So I'll just write something quickly in there and then I'll come back. So I just basically wrote a question. So obviously this is going to be the history of the Cavapoo, but I'm kind of asking the AI a question. Okay, so what's the history of the Cavapoo? And what we're going to do is we're going to use the introduction tool again. Okay, because what we're going to do, we're going to create an introduction for each of these. So I'm going to clear the results. And then I'm going to click on introduction. So some of the results has given us, I wouldn't say they're not correct, but we need to do fact checking, okay? Because on this one it says the Cavapoo was a small dog breed that originated in Portugal. And when we scroll down, it originated in United States of America. So, it's kind of not obviously the exact information. However, as I always say in these tutorials, that what you've got to understand is you've got to do fact checking with these. Okay, this is just there to assist you in writing your content. But I actually quite like this one as a bit of a starter. So I'm going to get rid of that and put that in there. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to flesh these out a bit later on, but I'm going to just start building the content out. So I'm going to write another sentence, because again, the breeding of breeding of Cavapoo might not give any results back with the AI, because it might not understand what it is that we want to talk about. So get rid of the results again, and we'll do another introduction based on what we've put there. I don't know whether you noticed, but there's a thing popped up there. I will just show you that while it happened. Try and click introduction, because select between 5 and 30 words. I've only got 4 there, so I'll put introduction. Okay, so the results has given us quite on point. So it's basically saying this one is a cross between a poodle and a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, which it is. They're intelligent and effective, yada yada yada. So it gives us some good information there. So I'm going to take that one, and then we'll be able to expand on that a little bit later. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through. You can basically see what I've just done there. I'm going to go through now and just expand on all these just to save a little bit more time. Okay, so basically what I've done is I've just gone through and literally just fleshed out all of the content, really in a similar way that I showed you. So what I was doing is I was asking a question about the characteristics of a Cavapoo, putting a briefing about it, and then clicking introduction, and then getting all the information. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to check on the SEO score, because if you remember back in the audit side of things, the SEO score was telling us how many words we needed, paragraphs, etc. So we can see now that our SEO score is now up to around about 43 out of 100. We've already got 927 words. Obviously, we still need to be between 1952 and 2342. But paragraphs are okay on paragraphs now. We needed at least 38. We needed we needed between 21, 19 and 23, headings, and we've now got 21, so we don't really want to be putting any more headings in. We could probably go for a couple more, and obviously the paragraphs, we've got 45 at the moment, and we need at least 38. I think I already told you that one. And as we can see, obviously now these are starting to light up. So we've got Cavapoo, family training, include, owner. So we still need to be incorporating poodle, breed, puppy, health, etc. So we now know that we're on the right track to basically be generating our content even more. So what we're now going to do is we're going to flesh it out. Now, to flesh out your content in using the long form editor, we can do it in several ways again. So we can either if we want to flesh out this, this section here, what we can do is highlight some of it and do right click and expand. And then what it will do is expand on the information that it's got here. So we'll go ahead and we'll do that. And what I'll do is I'll let it run so you can see it working. And then obviously when I'm doing this again, what I will do then is I will keep pausing the video while it does this. It's just going to save on time more than anything else. Okay, so it's not really giving us the right results back. There are many different breeds of German Shepherd dogs in the world, so we're not really talking about German Shepherd dog. That's really interesting, because what you need to understand about AI is it'll only give you the information, or the quality of the information will be upon the quality of the information you give it. So if I incorporate the Cavapoo and then click on expand, so if you look at the results this time, it gives us like a lot more on point. So this is the best breed to keep as a guard dog. I think they do need a lot of training, but they can learn. Their intelligence is high. They are very intelligent. Okay, so that's kind of like a repeat of that, but they will bark if they see something or someone. They will bark if they see something or someone that scares them. They're protective of the territory and the family. They can be very stubborn at times, which they can, and they're also very playful. This is a really loving dog. They'll get along with the dogs. Okay, so that's basically how we're going to expand it. We can also do a very similar method to what we did before. Okay, so if we expand on this one and use the tools that we've got here, we're going to need like a brief, because to use these tools here, you need a brief. Okay, so I'm going to take that part there, and I'm going to use that as my brief, and then I'm going to highlight all of that, and I'm going to click on paragraph. So basically, as you can see, it's now, the AI is working, and it's generating content for the paragraphs. So we basically look at what we was asking it to write. So it's all about the breeding of the Cavapoo, and it's kind of talking about the different colours, etc., which I guess is really all about the breeding. There are many different colours of Cavapoos. They come in light, blah blah blah. They're considered to be an extremely smart dog. Their coat is what's called double coated, and they are hypoallergenic. So I quite like that, and it is sort of on point with the breeding side of it. Just have a look down to see if there's anything else there. No, I do like that one. I also wanted like this hyperallergenic, so I'm going to put that in there. Now we got this the characteristics of the Cavapoo. So what we can do with that is we can use the expand, so we can highlight that, right click, and then do expand. And just incidentally, I mean, if you look at like the expand with GPT-3. Okay, so in the review that I did on this Closerscopy, Closerscopy uses their own AI servers, but you can also incorporate the GPT-3. But I find it better to use their own servers because it's better. So we'll click on expand and let it go through the expansion process. So I've just expanded that. And it's now put, they also make great watchdogs as they'll bark at anything that moves, as I guess which most dogs do, and will alert their owner of any intruders. They are excellent with children. I have never bit anyone. So I mean, obviously something like that you'd have to, you'd have to sort of like look in depth at to make sure that is correct. But generally speaking, it's kind of like wrote on point. Now, what's interesting is I didn't really put anything about Cavapoos in there, but with some of the research that I've done on Cavapoos, they do make great watchdogs, etc. So the AI is kind of talking about Cavapoo in general, because obviously what it's doing is looking here, so characteristics of the Cavapoo. So it kind of knows that we are talking about Cavapoos. So I'm going to go ahead and expand on this one. So just expanded a couple of those, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. So obviously when we expanded on the first ones where we didn't actually add Cavapoos, it was kind of being on point, but it was probably a little bit vague. So in this sentence here, it has a strong sense of smell and a good memory. If change that slightly and put then sort of carry on the sentence a little bit. So Cavapoos have a strong sense of smell and a good memory. So this, hopefully then the AI is going to carry on and write something that's going to be on point with what we're saying. And I'll let this one run through, obviously, so you can see the results that it gives you. So they've got a strong sense of smell and a good memory. So this makes them very good hunters. And the second series of posts, okay, so it's kind of gone off a little topic there. In order to hunt Cavapoos, it's on point again. So this is the second in a series of posts on the biology of Cavapoos. Okay, so it's kind of like gone off topic a little bit there. But if we get rid of that, so it makes them very good hunters. In order to hunt Cavapoos, use their nose to detect prey. They sniff around and determine where the prey might be hiding. It's recently been disturbed. When a sense is detected, the Cavapoo will start searching for it. So it's actually sort of writing good content on point sort of thing. And that is, like one of the ways in which you can expand and I'll have a good sense of hearing. So I basically wrote the Cavapoo is a good watchdog and it also has a great sense of hearing. And then I said, so that it can alert you to any danger. So it does actually write on point. So that's like another way in which we can expand the content. So when I created the outline and then I just fleshed a bit of the content out, one of the interesting things that it came up with was when I was talking about the health, when it comes to Cavapoo dogs, there's no such thing as a typical dog, and they come in many different sizes. But it talked about common health issues, and it basically gave me a list of some of these. So what I did is I created these into obviously like subheadings, like H3s. So what I'm going to do is I am going to expand on all these now. Now, I think I'm going to have to create a brief on each of these and probably put what is on them all, like what is mitral valve disease in Cavapoos, because I don't think the AI will pick up on it. So what I'm going to need to do is I'll get rid of that brief and get rid of the information that we've got down there, and I'm going to highlight that and click on brief. And right, so 1, 2, 3. So basically, what happened there was obviously I don't know whether you saw up on the screen there. It said that I need to change. I need to choose. I think it's 5 to something words. And that's really interesting. So obviously I put what is. I guess that says entropion in Cavapoos, but the output that it's given us, obviously to create briefs, is it's really talking on point about what it is, and I would have to do a check on that. I'll just go and do a check on that actually. Okay, so yeah, I'll just type that in into Google, and it's abnormality in the eyelids, in which the eyelids roll inwardly, and that's basically what that was. Says it's pulled back, but I guess that kind of means the same thing. So we're going to take that, and that's going to be our brief for this actual part, and then what I will do with that is write thinking about doing an introduction. However, this tool here, Explain, I think that's probably going to be a lot more suited towards what it is that we want, because obviously we're asking a question, what is it? So I'll click on Explain, and I'll let that run through to just see the information, the output that it actually gives us. Yes, it's giving us some like really good information. So it's actually explaining what it is. It's usually caused by inflammation, dry eye, or weak structure, dry eyes, allergies, and other medical conditions. So again, with it, we would probably have to do a lot more research on that to make sure it is exactly what we're talking about. But generally speaking, it's giving us some really good information. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and I'll format that, and we'll do this. We'll do exactly the same again. So I'll get rid of those. And the brief, and we'll create a brief for that. And again, I'll run through this again so you can see it happening. And then I'll flesh those out. So it's returned back. It's turned back some good results. So I actually like that. And what's interesting is, I mean, that's the brief, but I actually really like what that says. So we can probably just use that and put it in there, because it's actually explaining exactly what it is. But what I will do is I'll get that, I'll put that in there, and I'll just do an explain on it, just to see what it comes up with. Clear those, and then click on Explain. So it's actually giving us a lot more information. So I'm going to get rid of that and put that one in there. So what I'll do now is I'll just go through and I will flesh out the rest of these and then come back. Okay, so I've been out and I've fleshed all those out. And basically what I've done is what I was showing you earlier on. So I'm just taking, obviously what I've done, I've taken it out now, but I put what is, so it's asking a question. So you're basically asking the AI the question. That way it kind of answers better. Building a brief out of, using the tool and then click and explain. And I just went through and just checked a few of these just to make sure, obviously, that it's giving me the correct content. And the ones that I checked are all on point. They are exactly what they're supposed to be. So this one is basically exactly what it is when I do the search in Google. So, there are several ways in which you can basically flesh out your content, okay, by you just using these tools. And it really is just a matter of playing about with it and seeing, what's going to give you, basically the best information that you want to basically put on your page. So what we'll do now, we'll just go back and we'll do another quick SEO check. So we're moving quite well now. So we've gone up to 32 now. Basically, it was a little bit higher before, I believe it was. I think it was at 40 something. Now, basically, what it is, because we're now putting more content in, these have now dropped down again. Okay, so what we'll need to do is to make sure when I actually go back through the content, and we can sort of kind of do the check when we come in here, that we make sure that I've got cover poo in there a lot. Because the more words you put in, obviously, the more words that you're putting into your content itself, it's going to start filtering these out a little bit, because it's based on the percentage of how many, how many keywords you've got in, compared to obviously the amount of words that you've got in. So we're going to go back and we're going to carry on fleshing all this out, basically, so you can really see what I'm doing. So I'm going to go through now and I'm going to flesh a lot more of this out, to obviously build the content out a lot more. And then we'll come back and we will do the final SEO check on that, and we'll see where we go with that. Okay, so I've now basically fleshed out all of the content. And what I've done is I've also added some pictures as well, obviously. But what I want to show you is a couple of things. So on this how to groom, I've changed the headings as well, and I'll explain why shortly. And so basically what I've done, so for this section here, it's got how to groom your pup. Obviously, it would have been how to groom your cavapoo. So what I've done is I basically... get rid of that. And I've asked it a question. So how to, it's basically what it is. So how to groom your cavapoo. Okay, what I've done, I've highlighted that and created a brief for it. And this is like one of the great things about Closerscopy's long form editor, all these tools. And when you get to understand how all these tools work and what they're for, they really are very powerful. So what we're going to do is let's have a quick look at these briefs. I'll grab that brief there. Now, as you can see, this is like a step-by-step method, okay? And when we look down here, you see tutorial. So what I did was obviously highlighted that. I've now got the brief, and click on tutorial. And the output that it actually gives you are literally the tutorial, so like step by step. So step one, groom your puppy. The first step is the first step to grooming your puppy is to make sure that it's clean. Wash your puppy in warm soapy water, etc. Step two, trim. So it gives you that step by step, like explaining how to do it, or if you like, it's a tutorial style, which is really great for like how to post, how to do something. And then a bit further down, this, what should you feed your pup? What I did was I used the listicle. So again, what I basically I asked it a question which was very similar to how to groom your pup. So what I did is, what should you feed your cavapoo? It would have been, and again I'll explain why I've changed it shortly. So what should you feed your cavapoo? I then created a brief for that, and then once I put the brief in there, I ran it again by obviously highlighting that, and then went into the listicle. And obviously what that did, that created like these lists here of basically the things that you should be feeding your pup. So that's really the power of Closerscopy long form editor. And that literal step-by-step process by using all these tools, they're really brilliant. And I actually really like that explain one, which I sort of obviously found when I was actually doing this tutorial, particularly for these things. So obviously, if you need to explain what something is, obviously what's a hernia, it explains it in like in a really good way. And like I say, when I checked those, I did the fact checking. Just briefly, really, just to sort of make sure that the facts are okay for this article. They were on point. So that is, it's a pretty amazing bit of kit when you actually learn how to use it correctly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into the SEO score. And as you can see now, we are, we're right into like the 60 out of 100. And the reason why I changed like a lot of the H2s is because when I came in to check the score as I was going, Cavapoo was far too many. I think I had nearly 100 Cavapoos in there. Cavapoo. The Cavapoos, there was quite a few. There wasn't enough breeds. There was too many puppy. So what I've done is I've gone back through the content and I've, kind of edited the content so that it now reads like SEO friendly, obviously for Google. I added a couple of extra paragraphs as well to get us up to where we needed to be, and another heading as well, so that I could get the 19. And that's really, as far as I would go with this post. You don't really want to be 100%. What's really important is all these ones that have got the flame on it. Okay, you want to make sure that they're all green, and if you can add a few more of these. So obviously these have been dotted about. So heart health, problem, disease, and parent. I could continue and go Cavalier Spaniel, because obviously that's part of the Cavapoo breed. The bred between the Poodle and the Cavalier Control Spaniel. I could go and add all these and sort of get up to probably near on 100. But you don't really want to be doing that. You want to sort of do it around about 60 to 80 is probably the sweet spot, apparently. And that's basically where I'm going to leave that. So, that's how you basically use the long form editor in Closerscopy to generate a really good article basically from scratch. So thank you very much for watching this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will speak to you again soon in another video.